So who has been the best player in the NBA so far? Are you with the crowd that yells Luka Doncic, or do you think Kevin Durant has been better than everyone else? Steph's a decent shout. Some believe Joel Embiid and Ja Morant deserve a mention, while the entirety of Boston would tell you that it's been no other than Jayson Tatum, and Stephen A. Smith agrees with them. Let's take a look, starting with Stephen A. Smith naming his MVP so far. Stephen A. Smith has strong opinions, and it doesn't matter if the world disagrees, he won't budge. Some of them are controversial, but this one might not be too much of a stretch. The ESPN analyst was discussing the Celtics Heat game, and he came to a simple conclusion: Jayson Tatum is the leading candidate for league MVP honors, and we're not sure there's too much to say against that particular statement. Boston's been the best team in the NBA despite a strong start from the Bucks, but the Celtics have stormed ahead in the Eastern Conference and remain the leaders with an 18-4 record. And Tatum's been the best player for the Celtics by far. Smith also explained his reasoning, and once again, he's spot on. Quote, he's averaging 30 on better than 45% shooting, he's putting on a show on a night-in, night-out basis. Jaylen Brown is no joke either, but Jayson Tatum is clearly the star of this basketball team. They're clearly the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. You can't argue with that, can you? Before playing against the Heat, Tatum averaged a staggering 30.8 points, along with 7.7 rebounds and 4.5 assists, and then he absolutely exploded against the Heat, who were actually feeling pretty good about themselves, having won 3 consecutive games. TD Garden isn't a joke though, and they'll get another shot immediately, but for now, it's all about the Jayson Tatum show in Boston. Following up, Tatum's terrific display against the Heat, Smith's MVP choice was at his very best against Miami. The Heat, after a tough start to the season, has gathered a bit of pace and won 3 consecutive games before making the trip to Boston. While a simple look at Smith's show would have been enough for them to know what the Tatum-led Celtics side would be like, no preparation was enough in keeping him at bay. The 24-year-old turned up to the match along with the Prince and Princess of Wales in attendance, playing the most minutes for the Celtics, and he was unplayable. 49 points along with 11 rebounds were enough to pour cold water on the Heat streak and hand them a huge loss. He was a nuisance on both ends of the field, as the statistics point out, but it was somehow an even better showing. Tatum also came up with 3 assists and 2 steals in that fabulous performance and shot at a staggering 66% from the range. This performance means that the last 4 times Tatum's taken to the court, he's produced at least 30 points on all 4 occasions and is averaging 37.7 points in the last 4 games. No wonder Smith's adamant that he's the leading candidate in the MVP race. When you're that good, you're bound to be up there with the very best. As for the Heat, they'll be hoping to cope with Tatum in a better way when the 2 teams meet again, this week again in Boston. Now, let's take a look at the leaders of the MVP race so far. Now, we move to the important question: who is leading the MVP race? Do you agree with Smith? Is it Tatum? Let us know your choices in the comments, but here are our picks. First up at number 10, Nikola Jokic. The back-to-back reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic, has to be on the list. Even though his numbers might not be as good as some of the other names on this list, his presence has been magnificent once again. But the numbers aren't too bad either. Jokic scored 23 PPG along with 9.8 RPB and 8.8 APG so far, and while the Nuggets ease back Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., Jokic has been the reliable option as always. The drop in scoring numbers though is the reason why he's not higher on the list. Then at number 9, Devin Booker. Devin Booker has been one of the most consistent players in the league for a couple of years now, and it's been more of the same from the Suns guard this season. After dropping 44 against the Kings a few days ago and an insane 49 against the Jazz earlier this month, Booker now came with a season-high 51 against the Bulls. Thanks to that performance, he's averaging 29 points along with 5.3 rebounds and 5.8 assists, and with the 6 steals against the Kings, he's averaging more than a steal per game too. At number 8, Donovan Mitchell. The way Mitchell started the season, he was in the top 3 for many. Even though he slowed down a little, the new Cavs signing looks in fiery form. He's taken to live in Cleveland, and boy is he flexing his muscles. With a 28.9 PPG and 4 rebounds per game, Mitchell gets a bucket every time he goes to get one. Due to Darius Garland, his numbers are a little less than you'd expect somehow, but he's still been so special this season, a treat to watch for sure. After that at number 7, Ja Morant. How special has Morant been this season? Last year was the coming-of-age season for the Grizzlies star, and this year has been the next step for him. He's the most fun-to-watch player in the entire league, and while there's still room to improve, he wants to challenge for the MVP award. The youngster's averaging 28.5 PPG in addition to 7.6 APG and 6.4 RPG. Moving on to number 6, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a surprising entry on the list considering not many would have seen him around this spot when the season began, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been a very sparkling bright prospect for the Thunder this season. So far this season, SGA's coming up 31.1 points each night out, and he's combined that with nearly 5 rebounds and more than 6 assists per game. Imagine if the number one wasn't injured. What could the Thunder have achieved this season? Making the top 5, Steph Curry. The reigning Finals MVP has started the season on the front foot. There were many expectations from the Warriors as they're the defending champions, but they've struggled a bit. Not Curry though. He's shooting like he was in his prime, and with over 31 points per game, he's the reason the Warriors are slowly turning their season around. Given the fast-paced Warriors playing style, he's also in line for 6.7 rebounds and has been assisting 7 times per game. That 3-point percentage is looking healthy, as it always does. He already has more than 100 threes this season. Next at number 4, Jayson Tatum. While we can't overlook how good Tatum's been this season, and we've already discussed his spectacular performances, he's still only 4th on the list. Quite easily the best two-way player in basketball right now, he's reaching new heights. It wouldn't surprise us if his consistency has him among the best in the final MVP lists too. Into the top 3, Kevin Durant. Very much like the Warriors, the Nets have managed to turn their season, and it's all been because of Kevin Durant, who has weathered the storm leading from the front. He started the season with a tremendous run of 25-point games or more, and then after the streak came to an end against the 76ers and he dropped only 12 points against the Raptors, Durant has returned with a vengeance and is averaging over 37 points in his last 4 games. For the season too, KD's averaging 30.4 PPG, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.3 assists per game. He is in sensational form. The penultimate pick, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He might not be on the top of this list, and he might not have won an MVP award for 2 years in a row, but the Greek Freak is still the best player in the world. In the last 5 games alone, Giannis has produced 35.6 PPG, and he's been unplayable recently. For the season, Giannis is coming up 31.3 points every night and 11.5 rebounds. These are insane numbers, and it would hardly be a surprise if he picks yet another MVP award by the end of the season. Finally at number 1, Luka Doncic. Despite some staggering performances from some of the best players in the league, it's the Slovenian Luka Doncic who leads the list of MVP candidates for us. He's been unplayable. We don't have enough superlatives to describe the kind of form he's in, and it's a shame that the Mavericks haven't added to the squad because they could truly win big with Doncic in this form. He's averaging 33.5 points every night he plays, 8.8 rebounds per game and 8.6 assists per game, and nearly 2 steals and a block every other game. These are insane numbers, and if he keeps this up, there's no reason why he shouldn't be the MVP. That's a wrap for this video. Do you agree with Stephen A. Smith? If you don't, then who is your pick for the MVP so far this season? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like these. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.